Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Day One Cricket Podcast. Today, I've got an excellent guest. He runs his own podcast, which is very good itself. Commentator for Crick Buzz. But Anurag, I'll give you the floor and let you introduce yourself and tell people where they can find you and what you do.
Hey, Tan, thanks for having me over on your podcast. Yeah, that's right. I run a podcast called the No Cricket Podcast. I run it with a colleague of mine, and I work at Crickbuzz as a commentator, as you correctly mentioned. That's about it. If you want to find me on YouTube, you can just search my name. That's Anurag Hegde. I'm sure Tan will leave links to all of those in the description.
For sure. Firstly, before we talk cricket, how did you get into commentating for Crick Buzz? Is that something you always wanted to do, or you just fell into it?
Yeah, no, it is something I always wanted to do. I wouldn't say no, I wouldn't say that commentating is what necessarily I wanted to do, but I definitely wanted to work in the cricket media space, right? So, I started writing when I was about 14, 15, and it just went from there. I started working for Sportskeeda. I don't know if you've heard of that. Uh, and then yeah, I just slowly worked my way up. Found myself at CrickBuzz a couple of years ago, and that's where I'm at right now.
Onwards and upwards. I've seen some of your stuff, and it's pretty cool. Very useful insights. That's why I've got you on today. So now
Thank you,
moving
thank
on
you.
to the cricket, I guess you must have seen the last Test match. Where did you think
Absolutely did.
India lost it?
Well, if you want me to point a single moment out, it has to be that Rishabh Pant run out, right? I think Shubman Gill said it as well. I think that's where the game sort of turned on its head. Otherwise, India would seem to be in control. It shouldn't. The score shouldn't have been level after the first innings. Let's put it that way. I think India should have taken a lead of at least 50, but closer to 80 or 100 if we're being realistic. And you can see that's the difference at the end of the game, right? Yeah, I mean, the people are divided, about that run out. So personal milestones might have gotten in the way of, of the teams. Well, if you want me to pick a moment out, that would be it. What
Yeah,
about you? Where did you think the game turned?
I think that was one moment. I think not the run out because those things happen at milestones. I think it's KL Rahul. I mean, he got a pretty soft dismissal on up 100. I think if he goes on to make
That's true.
120, 130, it's a different game. And then I think I sort of saw in that final on the fourth evening. I don't think they were seeing it that well from that side, the Indian players. Like they couldn't really pick it up. Shimon Gill's feet weren't really moving. Karun Nair, he obviously didn't see that ball from Archer, which he just left a straight one. So
Yeah.
that was it. And then on the final day, it can happen on that pitch. I think they just need to weather that new ball spell really. And I was lucky enough to be at Lords on the final day, which was enthralling. I guess going on to that, do you think India played it right on that last innings, or do you think Jadeja played it right? How do you think that last innings went, and what could have India done differently?
Yeah, look, I wouldn't blame India too much for how they played in the last innings. Obviously, batting gets a lot harder heading into days 4 and 5. Yeah, I mean, hindsight's 2020, right? You can always look back and think they could have done that better, they could have done something else better. Again, to me, it was the first innings where India dropped the ball. They should have definitely taken a lead in the first innings, and they wouldn't have left themselves with so much to do in the second innings, right? With regards to Jadeja, yeah, I mean he could have probably taken a few more chances, but yeah, I mean there wasn't too much he could have done. You saw that England set pretty defensive field whilst he was on strike, and he was obviously batting with Jasprit Bumrah and Mohammad Siraj, not really known for their batting prowess. Yeah, I think they did pretty all right considering doing everything, but I wouldn't put too much on Jadeja.
Yeah, I don't think it's Jadeja. Mm, I think India probably, when it was 20 or 30 runs to go, maybe they should have rolled the dice. Maybe yeah, you had Siraj with all the fielders up to Bashir. Could he have tried to, smash a four, a couple of fours, and that changes the pressure on the game, right? So I think maybe he could have done that, but as you said, it is difficult. I mean, in terms of just the whole selection of the team, do you think India got that right with, the three all-rounders? And do you think that's the way to go for the last test and maybe in Manchester? I know there's a few injuries, so what do you think the team's going to be when we get to Manchester?
Yeah, we're definitely going to see changes, right? You've got Akashdeep, who's been injured and confirmed to be ruled out. So is Nitish Kumar Reddy. That news came in last evening. So he's going to be ruled out as well. So it'll be very interesting to see who India bring in. I'd like to see Kuldeep Yadav. I think a lot of experts made the same point before the Lord's Test, right? He's a genuine wicket taker. I know his English conditions are not really that conducive to spin, but he just brings in a new dimension to this bowling attack. I said it at the start of the series as well. I'd hope that spin would play a bigger part in this series. It hasn't yet, but I think there's still an opportunity. I think Kuldeep Yadav can come in and make an impact. It's not batters don't often play left arm wrist spinners, right? So there's something new there, and I think it's something India might explore, considering that they'll be without a couple of the players that played in the previous game.
Yeah, I think Kuldeep got a few big wickets. I remember him, Raj caught, he got Ben Duckett out, who India struggles to dismiss. So hopefully he can be someone that changes the game. How do you think India balance the batting if you're going to play Kuldeep, Bumrah, and India don't really have that Bhuvneshwar Kumar type seamer anymore who can bat a little bit? How would you balance the batting?
Yeah, Shardul Thakur is that Bhuvneshwar type player, right? Look, with Nitish Reddy ruled out, I think they might be tempted to bring Shardul Thakur back in. But if it were up to me, I wouldn't worry too much about the batting. I'd say I'd back the top seven to get the runs and then go in with four genuine bowlers. Again, they might. So in the last game, they batted all the way down to eight with Washington Sundar, right? They might stick with that. I think you might see Kuldeep Yadav. If I had to bring Kuldeep Yadav in, it would be for Nitish Reddy. Washington Sundar goes a place up. So you've still got three spinners there with Jadeja, Sundar, and Washington, and then you've got three fast bowlers. Maybe Prasidh Krishna comes back in, Bumrah, Siraj, and you roll with that. If you if you'd like another seam bowling option, then maybe Shardul Thakur comes in for Washington Sundar, but again that weakens the batting a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see their combination. They could also go completely the other way and bring in someone like Sai Sudarshan to bolster the batting and keep Washington Sundar in there and not to play Kuldeep Yadav at all.
Yeah, I think Shardul's definitely an interesting player. I mean, what do you make of him? I think his test career is probably over after that first test he played. I mean, he averages what 16 with the bat. Yes, he's had a few good innings here and there, and with the ball on the flat pitches, do you think he can make a difference?
It's strange with Shardul Thakur, isn't it? Sometimes he just runs in on the flattest of tracks with nothing happening. He just gets you a wicket or two out of nowhere. He's just got that ability. So I mean, it's not something you can bank on, right? You can't say that, hey, the pitch is flat, Shardul Thakur come in, give me some magic. It doesn't happen always, but it does happen. He's a player who's done that in the past. But I mean, he's the sort of player that acts as the bridge in that side, right? He's a bit of batting, bit of bowling, not quite the best at either. Again, which is why I said that, I think India shouldn't worry too much about the batting, go in with seven genuine batters and then go in with four strike bowlers.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think if you don't have the players to execute what you want to do, you have to change the plan. And if that plan is we have to rely on top seven to get runs, the bottom four, if you can chip in, that'd be useful. And then from there, you can say we'll take 20 wickets. If the batsmen score the runs, then we'll win the match. It's hard to do what England do, and everyone bats, so they bat till 10. You can't try and copy that because you don't have the players. It's just as simple as that, really. I guess in terms of team selection, then there's a lot of talk of Pant perhaps not being able to bat. Have you heard anything on that? Do you think Jarrell will come in? And how do you think that will play out in the team?
Yes, now that you bring it up, Jurel's another option, right? Well, there's a press conference a couple of days ago where India's assistant coach Rantan Dashkata spoke, and he said that Pant will definitely play if his finger's all right. If he can bat, I think Pant will play. And if he can't keep wickets, then Jurel comes in. He's also a pretty good batter, just as a batter himself. So again, that's another route they could go in. They could probably bring in Jurel in place of Nitish Reddy. Then again, you've got a pretty strong batting lineup, and Jurel could keep wickets while Pant plays as a batter.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best option. You have to play Pant. I mean, he's been unbelievable this series. Was it 200s, couple of 50s? Probably hasn't had that sort of match-defining innings that you'd kind of expect from him yet, but hopefully in the last two Test matches, he can sort of play one of those. I guess in terms
The
of
twin hundred.
batting, yeah, I mean, but match-defining, I think in those innings he still could have scored the Daddy 100 like Shimmer Gill did at Edgbaston. I think that's what India have been lacking this series for me, is batsmen have scored hundreds, but we've only won Test matches when the batsmen have really gone on to score big hundreds, and I think when you don't have the bowlers you can bat and chip in like England do with Cast, you have to have the main batters really take responsibility. But
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess speaking of batters, what have you thought of Karun Nair this series? How has he done? How do you think he's played? Are you still a fan of Karun Nair, or do you think it's time to perhaps move back to Sai? I know Sanjay Manjrekar talks about moving back to Sai, but what are your thoughts?
No, I'm glad you asked me. See, I've got a little soft corner for Karun Nair and his story. Look, he's been given the spot, given a chance. I think they should stick with it. Give this story time to run, time to finish, because I still feel like there's something there in Karun Nair. He's a player who's extremely determined. He's knocked the door down. He's broken the door down to come back into the side, right? And that takes immense character, immense determination, and that hasn't gone away. And even if you look at his batting, he's got quite a few starts. I wouldn't call all of his innings haven't been outright failures, if you want to put it that way. So I think he's earned a spot. I think India should persist with him till the end of the series. Give him a couple more games, give him a couple more opportunities, and see where that goes. I know there've been some technical flaws that have been pointed out with his bat coming down at an angle and all of that. But these are things that you iron out. I'm sure he's worked really hard in these 8 days between games, right? The thing I'm not so sure about is Karun Nair at number four. I mean, at number three, they played him at six in the first test, right? I think that's a spot that suits him better, five or six. So, I mean, then you get the question of who slots in at three, right? If they don't want to bring Sai Sudarshan back in, then it leaves a hole there at three. So, yeah, lots to think about, but I think I'd stick with Karun Nair for now, see what he's got to offer. I think there's a big innings around the corner for Karun Nair.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, maybe go into this story a little bit if you want to explain to the viewers, because I'm not sure many of them will know the full Karun Nair story.
Yeah, it's an inspirational and interesting story at the same time. This was back in 2016 when he came into the Indian side, and he scored a triple hundred against England. And after that, been pretty much nothing. He was dropped. He was dropped for what 8 7 8 years now, and this is comeback series. And to make his comeback, he scored a truckload of runs in domestic cricket across formats, not just in first class cricket. He came over to England last year, played with a small club called Burbage.
And shit. Oh, I think he played as well.
Yeah. He started with a small club in Burbage, and then played for Northamptonshire. Played some county cricket with Northamptonshire as well, and that's how he's made his way back into the side. Something ridiculous like 80 or 90 or something like that in the last Ranji Trophy, and he led his side to victory as well. So yeah, it's been a very inspirational story, and I think it's not quite over. So that's why I'd be tempted to keep Karun Nair in the side.
Yeah, I think it'd be some story if Karun Nair hit 100, big 100, and India level the series and go into the Oval and at Tool. I think that'd be a great for the series. Not for England, obviously, but definitely great for the series.
Yeah. See, the debate there with Karun Nair is, I think it's just between Karun Nair and Sai Sudarshan. And if you look at their first class record, Sai Sudarshan averages 38 in first class cricket. Karun Nair averages 48. Now, the argument isn't their average, it's their age. Sai Sudarshan's 23. People see a future in Sai Sudarshan. And Karun Nair is getting on. He's 10 years older. He's 33. So I think that's where the debate stems from. Of course, Sai Sudarshan's been really impressive. I think the thing is, it's the IPL where people have seen Sai Sudarshan, right? And he's got this solid technique. He plays in a fairly traditional manner. Even in the IPL, he's not quite this explosive batter who goes out and hits sixes for fun. He's very traditional. He plays very technically correct shots, and that's where this notion's probably formed that Sai Sudarshan's is going to be great for India in Test cricket. I'm not saying he wouldn't be. I think Karun Nair has earned his spot a bit more than Sai Sudarshan has at the moment.
Yeah, I completely agree. I had sort of a video that I did before Sai Sudarshan got dropped that he's the first Bazball pick that India have ever done because he doesn't really have a first class record. He's a good white ball
Yeah.
player, but just technique wise, you look at him and you think he can play fast bowling. And I think that's why India went for him. Obviously, then when they reshuffled the team, he had to drop out. I guess at number three, do you think there's been a lot of talk about the false threes? So like BM Mulder batting three. Would you mind seeing Washington there? Washington or Jadeja at three? Could you see that?
I'll tell you this much, I'm not a fan of it. I wasn't a fan of Vian Mulder being pushed up to three. I'm not a fan of Cam Green being pushed up to three. I think your number three should be a technically correct, solid player. I spoke to Jared Kimber in one of our podcast episodes, and he was speaking about how number threes have usually been your backup opener, especially in England, and I kind of agree with that. I think your number three should be one of the most technically correct, solid batters in your team, not just some all-rounder that you push up to fill in the gap. No, I don't think I'd like to see either of Washington Sundar or Jadeja there. And Jadeja especially, no. Not because he's done quite well. He's settled at number six. He's done a good job for India. If he took India over the line in the last game, that would have been the innings of his career probably. So I'm not moving him from number four.
Yeah, I think Jadeja, he's just such an interesting player because I watched him and he's actually very limited as a batsman. He doesn't have all the shots. He sort of just has to play his own way, and that sort of hamstrung him because if a Rishabh Pant was there with 20 to get, you would have said, yes, it's done and over. But Jadeja just couldn't play the shots, which was very frustrating. But yeah, like I mean, I guess it sets up the series nicely. So I mean, do you think India can win at Manchester? What do India need to do to win at Manchester?
To be perfectly honest, India haven't done all that much wrong in the series, right? They were ahead in the first test, went on to lose that, and they were pretty much neck and neck, if not ahead at Lords as well for the most part. So I think India don't need to do too much different. They've got to stick. This is going to sound like an extremely cliche answer, but they've got to stick to what they're doing and just make sure they win those key moments. Again, it sounds very cliche, but I think that's where it's at. It's quite simple. They don't need to do too much different. They just need to stick it out and you know make sure they hold on to that advantage and ride it all the way home.
Yeah, I think key moments is a big thing, and I think it's especially difficult when you're away from home. I think even if you look at in England when they were in India in the 2023 series, they actually had lots of opportunities to beat India. I think that fourth
Yeah,
test that Raj caught, they were miles ahead of the game, and they threw it away in the third innings. And Shubman Gill actually played an unbelievable knocker. I think he scored 50 odd to take India home, which was actually on that pitch was some effort. So definitely, I think the big moments India need to win. But how can you go about? How do you think Gambhir can rally his troops without sort of a Virat Kohli there motivating them to really play hard? Do you think Shimon Gill needs to step up in that captaincy role and tell his team exactly what they need to do?
no, look, I've been really impressed with Shubman Gill, the captain, partly because I didn't expect it to go so well at the very beginning, right? No, I think there's belief in this side. I don't think that's a problem. This bunch of players, I don't think they're the ones to go into a shell and sort of not feel confident. I think they'll always believe that they can win when they go out there. I don't think that's really a problem. I think it's making sure you play your best cricket when you need it the most. So if India can be at their best, I think we can agree that collectively India are probably a better side than England at the moment. So again, it's about making sure that they stick to what they do well and they keep doing it.
Definitely agree. I guess in terms of what India needs to do well, you've got that third seamer which you alluded to earlier. It's either going to be, I think, Krishna or Cambodia. I think Arshdeep's gone home as well. I'm actually very sad because Arshdeep, I really wanted to see him in the Test match, swinging the new ball. Uh, I think he gets around 85 now. He's putting a yard of pace, but I guess if Krishna does play, there's a lot of talk of him being expensive in the last match he played. Do you think he needs to have sort of a stellar game for India to win, or do you think Siraj and Bumrah can do it with a bit of Kuldeep?
Yeah, I mean, I think like you alluded to, right? He's the biggest complaint is been that he's been too expensive. And I think that's what he has to address in this game because Bumrah and Siraj have been outstanding. So if they can get a little bit of support from their third and fourth seamer, I think it'll go a long way in helping India. It's about sustaining pressure because Bumrah and Siraj sometimes is blows hot, blows cold. But if both of them are at the top of their game, you don't want someone you don't want your third seamer coming in and going for six.
No, definitely. And then I think in terms of England's bowling, obviously Jofra's come back. He was pretty good, 80, 90 mile an hour, or the high 80s, early 90s for the whole series or the whole game. And I think Jaiswal's not too comfortable against him. So are you sort of worried about that matchup, or do you think Jaiswal will come good?
No, I don't think so. I mean, Jaiswal and Jofra play for the same IPL team, right? I think Jaiswal would have seen and faced a lot of Archer at the Rajasthan Royals nets. I don't think pace is something that troubles Jaiswal. If it had, then he wouldn't have. He would have had a tough time down in Australia. So I think he likes pace on the ball, if anything. Maybe, he was probably not expecting that kind of pace at Lords with Jofra coming back in for his first test after a long time. So no, I don't see an issue there. Jaiswal likes ball coming onto bat, likes pace, and I don't think that's going to be an issue.
Yeah, so just a case of missing out twice, which is understandable, you know. And Jofra is actually a very good bowler to left-handers. I think his average against left-handers is massively higher than it is to right-handers. So yeah, you can get a good ball. I just think for me, I don't know what your thoughts are. Jaiswal needs to have that big in again. We just need one India batsman to really step
Yeah.
up and play a huge mat innings. And Jaiswal's played a couple of good knocks, but nothing. It's not nothing like that. 169. Was it 169 he got versus Australia?
Yeah, I think in
So
the
who
first
for you
test.
is the player to do that in the next game?
I mean, if you're looking at runs, you're obviously looking at Jaiswal, Shubman Gill, and Rishabh Pant right there, and KL Rahul, of course. This is really India's batting core. I think you can bank on KL Rahul for runs again. He's been extremely solid at the top of the order, and Shubman Gill as well has had an amazing series. Like you said, it's about carrying on, not just getting 100, maybe converting that 100 into 150, a 200. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at these four again: KL Rahul, Yashasvi Jaiswal, Shubman Gill, and Rishabh Pant. You, these are top quality batters. You don't really need to look beyond them. The others need to chip in and make sure they don't let the side down if not contribute themselves.
Sure. And do you think Shimmon's gonna break Bradman's record, 400? I think he needs 400 runs or 390 odd runs.
Yeah, I mean, there hasn't been a better opportunity, has there? He's got 4 innings to go, and what the record's 950 or something like that, right? So yeah, great opportunity. Couple of hundreds, maybe 150, and he's almost there. So you never know, but
Yeah, I think if he
yeah,
does break the record, India have definitely won the series or not lost the series at least.
yeah.
I guess quick word on England. Is there anyone that concerns you or you worry about as an India fan facing? Who's your biggest concern?
So I'll be looking at Joe Root. He hasn't quite had that big of a series yet, right? Yeah, he got 100 in the last game again. Couldn't kick on. If I was India, I'd be scared because Joe Root hasn't had that massive innings yet, and I think he's due a big. He's due.
Yeah, I think Joe Root always performs well against India. I think he got 400s, 300s in
Yeah,
that 21 series. Yeah, definitely cause for
he
concern.
performs against everybody.
Yeah, I
Not
mean,
just like not just
world
against
class.
India.
I think he could break Sachin's record though. I think he's 2,000
Yeah,
runs.
absolutely. I think he's perfectly on track to go past Sachin.
Let's hope he just has a dip in form or something like that. But um, Yeah, I guess that. I mean, I guess the only saving grace is that England probably have two of Test cricket's worst batsmen to play over 50 tests in the top three in Ollie Pope and Zach Crawley. How have you made about how they've gone on? Do you think, to me, they just look like walking wickets at the minute? I mean, Crawley, I think he
Yeah.
luckily won them that test match by batting 40 balls somehow. So, Zach Crawley, what have you made of him and how he's gone about it?
Yeah, again, if you're an England supporter and you're looking at Zach Crawley, no, absolutely no runs to speak of in the past year or so, right? I'm sure there's a temptation to bring in Jacob Bethel. I'd like to see him as well, but will they do that? Will Baz McCullum and Stokes say, you know, tap Crawley on the shoulder and say, your time has come? Not so sure. I think they really like him. They probably give him another game. Not, no, I'm not quite so not so sure.
Yeah.
He's hanging on by a thread.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if they dropped him, but yeah, I mean, hopefully he doesn't score any runs, but you never know. That 189, as you said, one of the best innings I've probably ever seen. But just to finish up, I guess, what are your predictions for the series? How do you think it'll go? And then maybe, end and tell everyone where they can find you and where your socials are.
Series predictions. I did one of these at the beginning of the series. I said 3-2 in favor of England. I'll make a small confession. I'm a bit of a baseball enjoyer, so but yeah, I'm gonna stick with that. I'm gonna say 3-2 to England. India haven't won a test at Manchester yet, so there's gonna be quite a bit of pressure there. They played 9, 1-0, lost 4, drawn 5. I'm not sure what the weather's like at Manchester, but if there's no rain, then there's probably not going to be a draw there. So it's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy for India, especially with Jofra Archer coming back and bowling like he did in the previous game. And again, a lot of injury concerns. India are going to be without Akashdeep. Bowler bowled so well in the last two tests. So yeah, they've got a few concerns there, but I'm going to stick with 3-2. I think two tests remaining. India are going to win one. England are going to win the other. So. That's my prediction. And about where people can find me, yeah, just Google my name, go onto YouTube, search Anurag Hegde. That's Anurag Hegde, and yeah, I'm sure you'll come across my channels.
Perfect. Thanks, Anurag. Pleasure having you on. And yeah, definitely check him out. Seen some of his podcasts, very informative, and hopefully we'll get your co-host on as well at some point.
Yeah,
That'd be awesome.
yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. It was a great chat.
No worries. Pleasure.
Cheers.